This is just a last update on the garden, and as you can see, we're ready for winter now, and a little bit of everything else that's been going on around here outdoors. One of the things I've been doing lately is I've been moving up a lot of wood to let it do the final drying, and I bring it up to the south side of the house here and stack it up there. And the sun does a real good job at getting it real dry. And you can see we've been enjoying the fall lettuce and crops that are growing out there now, and so this is one of the jobs that's been going on, and we've had some real wonderful rainbow chard. Now that the weather's getting cooler, it's been great, and pretty much every day for the last couple of weeks has been a trip down to the garden with the cart and bringing back a load of squash, pumpkins, and whatever's left. You can see the vines are all dying back now, so starting to be able to see exactly what grew. All summer long you really can't see anything in there because it's nothing but leaves, so you just wait till fall, and then you can assess what's there. And with the late start that we got, and all the rain and lack of sunshine this year, I didn't think we'd have quite so many pumpkins and squashes we wound up with. You can see the rest of the garden, the plants are all starting to die back now, and time to start cleaning all that up also. I've been starting to work on that a little bit at a time. And so, pretty much everything's over for the summer, except for we do have a lot of peppers left. And every day I bring up a load of squash and kind of let them harden off in the sun for a couple days so I can put them in the root cellar. And elderberries didn't do so great this year. We had one plant that did good. The rest of them didn't have a lot of berries, and the birds actually wiped them all out. Big flock of birds kind of ate them all in a couple days. So I'm out here now just saving what I can on this last bush here. There was enough to get a couple batches of jelly out of it at least. So that's what I was looking for. Elderberry is my favorite jelly, and I did make a video back a ways about that. So, that was just another one of the little things that went on. And you can see my hops did good for the first time this year. I don't plan on making any beer this year, but, at least I know the vines are getting stronger, and hopefully next year I'll get around to having time to make up a batch of beer with my own hops. This was a week back or so, and the grapes still need a little bit more. They're not quite ripe yet. You have to check them every day, because the animals will start eating them quickly. So you can see they're just about at the point, being ready. And this is why I don't grow broccoli. This head here I bought at our local Amish store, fresh picked for $1 the other day. So, it just doesn't pay to grow it when you can get a head like that for $1. And it does go good on twice baked potatoes there, so I've been enjoying the grill a lot. And I couldn't find any bulk mulch that was reasonably priced, so I wound up going to Tractor Supply and got some clearance bagged mulch that they had. And I've been spending a lot of time out here in my wife's spring garden. She used to take care of it, but lately she can't, so it's been kind of neglected the last year or so. And turned out that there were quite a few of these grass weed roots growing underground there. So I spent 4 days actually on my knees out there just digging them out and getting it mulched down good and ready for the spring there. So that job's finally done, and it looks pretty good. And it must have been 4 miles of these underground roots about 4 inches under the soil there that had to be dug out. It was just unbelievable. They just keep popping up grass shoots. And I know I didn't get them all, so it's going to be a constant battle. And those little ground cherries are starting to, get a bunch of them on there. You can see they're doing good and turning orange and stuff. And I'm starting to get some more pumpkins up by the house every day. So it seems like this time of the year there's always something to do. And I've been saving some of those bigger sunflower heads there too. And here's another day and another batch of squash and pumpkins coming up. And I'm filling up my little pumpkin patch here so the grandkids can come over and pick out pumpkins, and other visitors too. So we've got them all up by the house here. And there's a bin of carrots that I picked. We're just going to throw them in the fridge, and they'll stay for a couple months in the fridge before we use them up. And there's still another bin to finish picking down there. And some of the peppers that I've got fermenting now, and they're really the jalapenos and habanadas, they really taste great fermented. And you can see pretty much every day a couple more pumpkins come up and a couple more squash go out to dry. And every day the garden looks a little bit deader there as the plants die back, the weeds die back, and everything else. And you can see all the pumpkin vines that were growing out in the grass here. I'm finally cleaning them up, and my little girl there is out there hunting see if she can find a mouse or two that was in the high grass I couldn't mow. So she's having a good old time out there now. And sunflowers are all dying off, and I've got a couple compost buckets going there, and a couple more, another day, another load of squash and pumpkins. And we only got one pie pumpkin. It was pretty amazing. The jack-o'-lanterns did really good, and the butternuts did good, and everything else did good. And we actually got some of the smallest butternuts we've ever had ripen out there too this year. And then we did get some gourds that I didn't plant. They must have come from the compost pile. And there's some coriander, which is the cilantro that goes to seed. I'll save that to plant next year for my slow bolt cilantro. And there's some basil seeds I'm going to be saving, picking them out and drying them over the next couple weeks. And you can see those sunflowers, they're about picked over. The flocks of birds have been loving them. Those little ones are the black sunflowers. And they just love them, so they're just about gone now. And it's that time to clean up what's left. And, as I said before, the eggplants, all the leaves fell off and they got bitter. So these are going into compost. But luckily we do have a freezer full. So, that's a good thing. And I'm starting to clean up these beds a little bit at a time. And I still have probably 150 pounds of peppers too. A lot of red ones I'm going to be roasting shortly. And the bees actually survived keeping an eye on the garden another season. So, this little golf cart's just been about the handiest thing we've ever purchased. We've really gotten a lot of use out of it, and, it's just great for a quick trip down to the garden without having to drag out a tractor and trailer and stuff. So you can see everything's starting to fill up here, and actually I got my little fig trees here, and they're doing really good. And I did find a giant donut pan. Now this is really good for those butternut donuts that I made the video about last year. So you can do 20 at a time now. And I did have some spaghetti squash crossed with gourds where they were really close together, and I got a couple of these strange little things here. But you've got to expect that when you have things planted that close together. And this is one of the many butternut pies that I've been enjoying. My wife's been, busy cooking them down and making pies. And for about the last month, we had this giant underground bee's nest here in my dog park, and I couldn't get down there near it. These things were really aggressive. And the other night, we smelled a skunk outside, and we're like, okay, what's going on? And turned out he actually ate down into the nest, and he must have been getting stung with bees and stuff. And he pulled out the honeycombs, ate all the honey, and all the bees are gone. So now I got to get out there. I've started going back, and this is what grew in the last month because I couldn't mow it. That skunk did do a good job, and I must say I don't mind putting up a little bit of smell for something like that. So now the concord grapes are ready to pick. So this is a day ago I started picking them, and I decided I'm gonna make a batch of wine out of the concords. So there still are a couple that aren't fully ripe, but I found out that if you wait till the day when everyone is fully ripe, the animals will come in that night and they'll wipe them all out and there'll be nothing left for you. So I'm trying to get what I can now and beat the animals to them. I did find out, though, that in the end, after I started cleaning them, that a good deal of them this year actually had bug damage, and they had like little holes with worms growing in them and stuff. So, I had to pick through each and every one of these things before I could make the wine and look for any that had any signs of holes or, any kind of damage. So it was kind of a pain, but that's one of the things you deal with when you don't use any kind of sprays or anything. You do, sometimes lose quite a bit of a crop because of that, but I think it's worthwhile. So I got my my grapes pretty much all picked, and in the end I did wind up with about 1.5 buckets of grapes, almost 2 buckets. The white ones still need about another week till they'll be really good and tasty. So I got these together here, and as I said, there was quite a bit that I had to toss in the compost when I got done, but in the end I still did have enough to start a small batch of wine, so that's a good thing. Really have to watch out for bees too, with the smell of these Concord grapes and the sweetness and stuff like that. I did have to fight off quite a few bees to try to pick these here, and they've really been aggressive this time of the year. So there's my couple buckets of grapes here, and here you can see I'm actually starting to clean up the garden now, starting to mow down the weeds on the edge, pull out all the vines, and I've got 3 compost piles started with some wire fencing there for all the extras to go in. I've still got my beans. The Japanese beetles never came and ate them, so I'm still eating some beans out of them. And I got some more tomato plants and stuff, just reseeding from last year coming up. So I really do have a big mess to clean up now, and started cleaning out the bins and got my garlic planted, and I'm going back and getting everything cleaned up now. So that's still gonna be another week or two till it's all ready to go for next year. And you can see there's a lot of waste that goes in the compost piles, but those are all squash that had like holes chewed in them by animals, and damage to them from bugs and stuff like that. I'm going up to get ready to start my wine, and I dug out my grape press that I built a couple of years ago there, and there's the grapes. And the video back a ways, I did make a couple changes to it, but basically it's just a big thick piece of plexiglass for a press for your plate, and I used an old colander there, and I machined the plastic plate to line up with the holes for the juice to drain out, and you put cheesecloth in there with the grapes in them, and then just a Home Depot bucket cut off with a string for the grape juice to come out of. So I'll be using that in a couple days, and this is after I got them cleaned up. Actually, that bucket on the left was what I lost to bugs and damage and stuff. But I did have a full bucket left, so I figured I'd start a little batch of wine. And basically, I just took my wife's potato masher and just took a couple at a time and put in the bottom of this stainless steel pot that I've sterilized, sanitized, and crushed them up, threw them in a bucket, adjusted the bricks on them, and I got a thing of wine started now. So that's another thing I didn't make a video of because I've done it in the past. And you can see I'm doing a quick shot of the root cellar here. You can see I got spaghetti squash. I've got a ton of butternuts. I've only got 1 Long Island cheese squash though, and you can see down here my shallots and stuff that we picked beforehand. So we're all ready, pretty much for a nice long winter now. So in the end, with a late start and, a lot of rain and very little sun, we actually did wind up with a great harvest this year. And, we did get a little bit of everything. And we're really enjoying it all now. We've been eating veggies every day pretty much. So, it's really worth having a garden if you do have a spot and time to do it. I just thought I'd do kind of like a final update of, what's been going on for the last couple weeks. And there'll still be another couple weeks of yard cleanup to go. I can't believe it's 90 degrees outside today, and I'm sitting inside with the AC on right now just trying to stay cool. It sure has been a strange summer. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.